Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump is the Obi-Wan Kenobi of American politics. The more you try to hurt him, the more you try to harm Trump, the greater the likelihood is that he'll win or that he'll make a great deal of money from it. So Democrats aren't very smart. What they've done is make him into a pop or cultural icon. Really quickly, this is an Axios article. Trump scores huge mugshot windfall. You can scroll down and read the big picture, the iconic image. And it is an iconic image of the first U.S. president, and representing 13 of Trump's 91 pending criminal counts took over the internet in the hours after its release. 91! They should have put 91,000. It doesn't really matter if they put 91 million criminal counts. All of these criminal counts will be overturned by the Supreme Court. I talked about that in numerous segments. Check out and hit subscribe to this channel. The Supreme Court routinely overturns corruption convictions, all types of convictions based on prosecutorial misconduct and boundless definition of legal theory or the criminal statutes. If a criminal statute is leveled at a defendant and the Supreme Court says it's a boundless definition of the criminal statute, that corruption conviction, like we saw in 2016 with Bob McDonnell, is thrown out. But here you have his campaign pulled in $4.18 million on Friday. Fundraising total $7.1 million in 48 hours since Thursday's release. So he's getting millions of dollars just in the past couple of days. Okay, what do you think the chances are he's going to monetize this for a lot more? How Trump's monetizing his mugshot. And you can scroll down. Basically talks about how through social media and also through other avenues, he's going to monetize, but also he'll be able to communicate his thought process, which, by the way, is very rational and logical, okay? It is not a fact. It is not a law of nature that everything was fair and square 3 years ago. We'll leave it at that. Democrats cheat all the time. Ask Bernie Sanders. They don't even have a functioning primary. Bernie Sanders was cheated in his own Democratic primary. Okay, Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign in disgrace. Then they blamed the Kremlin for railroading Bernie Sanders and for us finding out through emails. So you can look at Tammany Hall. You can look at President Obama versus Clinton in 2008. His campaign accused Clinton's campaign of cheating all the time. And the myth that he wasn't born in the U.S. was started by Clinton's campaign. There's numerous New York Times articles from that time period showing that it was Clinton's campaign, one of the people in her campaign that's helped start it, and President Obama's campaign responded. They were very, very upset. Anyway, you can look. He's always been on the Forbes. The past 25 years, he's been on the Forbes 400. And just recently, unlike others who make money off politics, so Hunter, Joe, Hillary, Bill, make a great deal of money, Donald Trump's estimated $2.5 billion worth he's still a billionaire, but his leaving him $400 million short of the cutoff to make the Forbes 400 list. So he actually lost money, okay, in politics. Donald Trump is the only politician who's ended up losing money. Hit subscribe, by the way, to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. Trump scores huge mugshot windfall. Think of all of the business ventures he can utilize to show the world that he was unjustly targeted by a very malicious, petulant, vindictive Biden administration and his Department of Justice. There's nothing independent about any agency within Biden's administration. Nothing. With Trump, you had an anonymous person writing an op-ed in the New York Times, okay? It was an anonymous official. You think that would ever happen with Biden's administration? The entire media, MSNBC, CNN, The Washington Post, New York Times, The Atlantic, New Yorker, New York Magazine, Mother Jones, The Nation, Daily Beast, You can go on forever. Vice, Raw Story, whatever. All of these publications are um, part of a public relations apparatus. They will all say the same things all the time about Trump, and they will say the same things all the time about the Democratic Party and whatever the Democrats hold dear. So if it's the government wanting to shut down economic activity, all the experts say that, and we must listen, even though there are experts that disagreed. So in the past 3-4 years, this country has been taken over by the tyranny of experts and consensus. Now, a consensus should be achieved by addressing relevant concerns from people who dissent, not by silencing any dissent and saying it's outside of a fabricated consensus. We do not have the First Amendment operating in the way that it usually did. It's interesting. The internet and technology, you can look at what's happening with artificial intelligence. It's making us less free. It's not giving us more freedom. It's giving, for example, the Democratic Party the ability to silence discussion, debate, dissent about a whole bunch of topics, including Hunter's laptop. It is the Democratic Party that loves to ban and to prevent people from discussing a whole bunch of things. You can look at what they did with the DNC emails. You can look at what they did with Hunter's laptop. They get 51 intelligence officials to say it's a plot by the Kremlin. Everything bad that happens with the Democratic Party is a plot by Russia. Okay? You'd have to be a complete imbecile to believe any of this. You are given the same propaganda spin all the time. So Hunter has obvious pay-to-play schemes. So does Joe. They make tens of millions of dollars on deals while Joe was vice president, and even as he's president. And this money goes into different accounts all throughout the world under different names. And you have everybody from Chuck Grassley to Ted Cruz to James Comer and Jim Jordan and the House Judiciary and House Oversight Committees. They have all the receipts, just a matter of time before they impeach mashed potato brains, which they should have done already. But the entire planet knows that they're going after Trump for political purposes. They're the ones who go after the direct political rivals. They tried to say that Trump, in the most convoluted manner, went after Biden by withholding military assistance, but he didn't withhold military assistance. There was never, even within that transcript, any hint of withholding any military assistance. They got the military assistance. Furthermore, it would have been his prerogative to ask if he said, hey, you know what, the military assistance is linked to you helping us. Other presidents have done the same thing. But he didn't do that. He didn't do that. So they impeached him for trying to go after Biden before we found out that Hunter's laptop had all the receipts and all the corruption, all the pay-to-play quid pro quo racketeering within those emails. So you have one email, the New York Post. There's one email the New York Post reported on and broke the story on. It says, quote, how can you use your influence on the company's behalf? You don't have that with Trump. You have a whole bunch of indictments, whether it's in Florida or in Georgia or in D.C., where liberal sensibilities are merged or correlated directly to these allegations. So it's part of liberal sensibility to accuse Trump that he knew he was wrong, that he knew he was taking classified data, that he knew that he was doing something illegal with hush money payments. None of these things are going to hold up. He's going to get convicted in Georgia. He's going to get convicted in New York. He'll probably get convicted in D.C. He probably will get acquitted, or there'll be a mistrial in Florida. But all of these convictions will be overturned by the Supreme Court because they're blatantly political. See, Trump never had a private server like Clinton, and I think that Clinton eventually will be the 24 nominee for the Democratic Party. But Trump never had a server. He never had servers. That is illegal, to own servers and siphon classified data onto those servers. Okay? He never had a laptop detailing the pay-to-play schemes. Okay, what he had is his personality, which they're trying to criminalize. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now.